Many people want to build wealth, but do not understand how the stock market works. They fear losing money, do not know where to start from, or believe investing is only for the rich. But here is the thing, the right knowledge is all you need. This is why the Naira Academy has created the How to Make Money from Stock course, coming up on the 7th to 10th July 2026. In this course, you learn how to understand the stock market, how to diversify portfolio, and also how to invest profitably. Register now with the registration fee of 25,000 Naira. But here is the good thing, the early bird offer is still on. For the Money Click members, the early bird offer is 12,500 Naira, and then for the non-members, the early bird fee is 17,500 Naira. So what are you waiting for? Register now, and I hope to see you in class.
So have you ever wondered why you keep making the same money mistakes, even after reading books, attending seminars, and learning about budgeting and so much more? Maybe you've promised yourself countless times that, oh, this month I'll save, this year I'll invest, this time I'll be more disciplined. Yet somehow you end up repeating the same cycle. What if your problem isn't lack of financial knowledge? What if it's unresolved financial trauma? Financial trauma occurs when painful money experiences create emotional wounds that continue to influence the financial decisions even years later. Perhaps you grew up in a home where there was never enough. Perhaps your parents constantly fought over money. Perhaps you watched the family business collapse. Perhaps you experienced sudden poverty after a period of comfort. That event may have ended, but the emotional impact remained. And today, those experiences may be silently shaping how you earn, how you spend, how you invest, and even discuss money. So many people are trying to solve emotional problems with financial strategies. That's like trying to treat a broken bone with perfume. Until you heal the wound, the symptoms will keep returning. And that is why I created the Healing from Financial Trauma course. Not to teach more budgeting, not to teach more investing, but to help people understand the hidden emotional forces driving their money decisions. Because when healing begins, financial transformation becomes sustainable. If this resonates with you, send us a message. Let's talk about how you can join the Healing from Financial Trauma course. You can just comment healing in the comments. I'll reach out to you.
Guy, how far now?
Omo, I'm not really fine. Do you know they paid me last week and right now I can't even boost up to 10,000 Naira in my account?
Seriously?
Yes.
Did you budget?
Which one is budgeting? I'm not a politician.
That's why your money is missing like NEPA light.
But I didn't buy anything serious, shoes, bags, the thing that guys need now. And just like that, fiam, the money has disappeared.
But it's all these little things. That's why it's taking your money.
Nah. But what should I do?
See, you have to create a budget. You have to track your spending. You have to prioritize your needs over your wants. And you have to save before you spend, not the other way around.
So what you're trying to say that this money management thing is no child's play?
It's no child's play at all.
The Money Click is an annual financial literacy program to help you up your money game. The Money Click is not just about money, it's about mindset. So in the Money Click program, go beyond budgeting to rewire your thinking, to rewire your mindset, to change your thinking about income, to change your thinking about money management. So we'll help you grow your income, we'll help you manage it, we'll help you invest with confidence. Money is not just about what you know. Money is more about how you behave. And every day in the Money Click program, what we'll try to do is to influence how you behave about money. This is not just financial education. This is financial transformation. I will hope to see you become a part of it. Thank you.
All right, hello everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to our Thursday live session here on YouTube and also on Facebook. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Happy to be here. Coming from the Inner Circle webinar, we move in here. Thank you so much for waiting. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, our microphone empress. Thank you so much, ma. Happy to do my bits. Thank you so much, everyone. Cohort leader, Mr. Chris, cohort leader, Mrs. Ann. Thank you, everyone. Madam Pearl, it's been a while we saw you here. We're happy you're here today. Okay, thank you so much. And welcome. Madam Tony George, I see you, ma. Okay, so today we'll be looking at Can you pass financial trauma to your children? That's the question we want to answer today. That's what we're discussing today. Can you pass financial trauma to your children? You know, when people think about inheritance, they usually think about money. That's the only thing we think we can inherit, right? And we think money, house, land, investment, business, jewelries, savings. But there's another kind of inheritance that is more subtle and even more powerful, right? It is the inheritance of emotions, the inheritance of financial trauma. So many parents work hard to ensure that their children inherit assets. But only a few people stop to ask themselves, what money beliefs are my children inheriting from me? Your children are inheriting money beliefs from you. Which one are they inheriting from you? Right? So these are some hard questions we should ask ourselves. Children inherit more than what we leave behind. And that's why I say your children start inheriting you long before you die. Every day of your life, your children are inheriting you. Right? And to know more about what your children are inheriting from you, Ruben, bring the Raising Heirs. You need to read the book Raising Heirs, Not Hustlers. Right? Raising Heirs, Not Hustlers is one book that I wrote to bring it to bear for people to understand what inheritance really is about. Inheritance is not just what you see. Inheritance also are the things that we cannot see. So yes, your children can watch, they can emulate, and they can even inherit your emotions. All right? They can inherit how you think. They can inherit how you feel. They can inherit how you behave around money. Yes, this is the book. Raising Heirs. Raising Heirs, Not Hustlers. This is one book everyone should read. Raising Heirs, Not Hustlers. Right? This book is all about explaining what inheritance is and what how we should prepare our children from it. All right. So I see some comments here that I would like to take before I go on. Microphone and Press says, tracking spending opened my eyes wide open in January. I had over 200 expenses on my tracker and less than 20 on my income tracker. Interesting. Only the money click saved me. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Christie. Says that was awesome. Because there's a way you rebuke in soft ways. That will make one cry and reflect. Thank you so much. Our wonderful billionaire from Ireland. Thank you so much, ma, for being here. Yes, thank you. I see all your comments. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. Happy to be there, happy to be here, happy to be everywhere we move. Yes, Stylus is never a teacher. Yeah, if not, other people will take up the role for you. All right. So, what is financial trauma? We've been talking about financial trauma for a while now, but a lot of people somehow do not really understand what financial trauma is. All right? They don't understand. So, what's financial? So, financial trauma is the emotional and psychological impact of painful money experiences. And I've told us stories of some. Right? I've told us stories of some. I've told us the story of a member who shared a story with us. This particular one said the father used to be in the rock business, in the early 2000s. The father used to sell the early 90s. The father used to sell carpets, rugs. The father has 4 shops. 4. One day, all the 4 shops got burnt in one day. All of them. But the good thing was that the father was a very good saver. So he had money saved up, some good money. So the father decided to get into the transport business. I don't know, maybe it was a thing to get into the transport business in those days. He decided to get into the transport business, and that's how all his money, he couldn't manage it because he really didn't understand it. And he lost almost everything. So they went from people who were living okay to people that struggled in life. And she said her father never recovered from that loss. Eventually, it led to his death. He never really recovered from the loss. And that put a dent in her emotions. That caused a wound in her. Right? That was the source of her own trauma. And if you look at it, it is part of what we talk about when we talk about money blueprints. Right? So her blueprint around money was now traumatized. And it came from observation. It came from an experience, a personal experience that she saw in her own father's life. So financial trauma is that emotional and psychological impact of painful money experiences. Your own painful money experience can simply be just that you grew up in poverty. There are people who grew up in so much poverty that today they try to overcompensate for all the things. That pain of growing up in poverty is still with them. All the lack they went through, all the insults they received, all that pain is still in them. The wound, the injury still exists. That's financial trauma. And a lot of us carry it. A lot. A lot of us carry it. So many of us carry it. And healing is a must if we must thrive. And I said something yesterday. I said that wealth, healing from financial trauma is also part of wealth building. You cannot be on the path to build wealth, but you have a money trauma with you. It will be counterproductive. So your trauma can come from growing up in poverty. It can come from losing everything in business. There are people who have trauma with stock investing. There are people who have tried stock investing before. You know what? The thing traumatized them. When you say stock, they run away before you talk about investing. That's what trauma can do. Some people's own came from unemployment. Some people don't stay unemployed for a long time. So when they eventually now got the job, no matter how bad it is, they don't want to leave. That's trauma. Some people's trauma came from family debts. Hey, a friend once told me how the family, he got trauma from debts in his family, from the father. He said that there's no type of embarrassment that he has not seen, right? As a child, when his father was owing a certain man, that the man will come, embarrass them at home, embarrass them in church, embarrass them everywhere. So debt can be a source of trauma. The embarrassment that comes with debt, is something else. Financial betrayal too can lead to trauma. It can lead you to not trust anyone again with money. Economic instability can also lead to trauma. War can lead to trauma. War can lead to trauma. Let me tell you the story. I think I've told this story here before, but I'll tell you the story. It is in these weekly sessions that I get to tell some stories. War became part of my dad's trauma. In what way? Not my dad. So my both parents saw the war. They saw the Nigerian Biafran War. My dad was a teenager during the Nigerian Biafran War. So he said at some point he was working for the relief agencies that were bringing in relief materials into the Southeast. And at the time, it was such a dangerous job that, so he said he was coordinating trucks that were carrying the relief materials and, taking them into the different locations. So he said a lot of people didn't want to do the work. At first, it was just the white men, but when the war got tough, even the white men could not do it anymore. So he decided to take up the job. And he said that they were handsomely rewarded for it because of how difficult the job was. So he said that during the war, instead, unlike my own mom, who saw shaggy during the war, my father was in money, according to him. He said he made so much money during the war. And having grown up with my grandmother, my great-grandmother, his own grandmother, he he got some sense of investing. My great grandmother was a very wealthy person, very strong woman. So he got a very great sense of investing. He didn't grow up with his father, funny enough. So as at that time, he said he would want to buy land, he wants to invest in properties. His father would say, no, do not. He said on one occasion, because he was still a teenager, he was still less than 18 as at that time. He said on one occasion, he went against his father's wish and went and bought land somewhere. That his father found out about it, went there, retrieved the money, gave the person back his land documents, and said they're not buying. What was his father's problem? That when he starts buying properties, people think that he has become too wealthy and criminals and armed robbers will come for him. So it continued this way until the war ended. And when the war ended and they declared the 20-pound policy, it meant that all the money he made during the war, because it was Biafran pounds, became useless. He couldn't do anything with it again. It was all useless. I think that thing created a deep trauma in my father. Why? Because somehow, later on, my father became somebody who was obsessed with buying lands till today. My father is obsessed with buying lands. My father has bought land for almost all of us. All of us, in fact, everybody. Everybody. My father, if he has a little money in his pocket, he goes to buy land. So that little thing that happened to him then became a source of trauma. Became a source of trauma. So he's still compensating for the emotional wound. Yes, I wrote about this story in my book, Raising Financially Literate Children. Yes, I wrote about the book. I wrote about it. So my father, till today, has not finished healing from the trauma of those events that happened to him before the war. During the war and after. He still lives with the regrets of not being able to maximize the opportunity he once had. One thing I didn't mention in that story that I wrote in my book was that my father tried to leave the country 3 times and they caught him. The last time he tried to hide where the tire of the plane would enter, right? That's where this man went to go and hide. And they eventually caught him. He said that was when he knew that his destiny was in Nigeria. If they could catch him 3 times. That's by the way. So, trauma can come in different forms. Inflation can lead to trauma. Displacement can lead to trauma. Constant financial stress can lead to trauma. Right? Can lead to trauma. And the problem is that the emotional impact lasts for generations. It lasts for generations. And you see this trauma. Yes, it can be inherited. I might not have inherited the trauma of buying lands in the manner that my father did or does. But there's another sibling of mine who inherited that trauma. She herself, she will go around the city looking for lands to buy. And you know her. And you know her. So trauma is inherited. It's inherited. It's a behavior. Right? It's a behavior that's inherited. And trauma doesn't need words to be passed down. It doesn't need words to be passed down. Because one remarkable thing about children is that they're always watching. They're always watching what you're doing. They're always watching they are always watching. They observe more than we realize. How we react to everything, how we talk, how we spend, how we argue about money, how we respond to people, how we approach investing, what kind of investing we approach. They watch and then it becomes a part of them. Right? So children may never hear a formal lesson about money, yet they are receiving it every day by watching you. That's why it becomes important that you correct your own financial life so that your children's own can also, to a great extent, follow suit. So your children are constantly learning your relationship with money. So now imagine a child who is hearing the parents say every day, money is always a problem. Money is always a problem. And you know, there are people who echo it everywhere. Yeah. So they don't go hear any kind of trauma. She's a good trauma to inherit, but you don't know how deep her own trauma is with buying land. Oh my God. Okay, it's a good kind of trauma anyway. So imagine a child who is clearly constantly hearing money is always a problem. Money is always a problem. Money is always a problem. Imagine a child who is always hearing rich people are very dishonest people. Rich people are wicked people. My friend told me when he joined the Money Clique for the first time in 2024, he said that today, he just called me on the phone after a particular master class. And he called me and he told me that now I know where my problem is coming from. He said his father echoed it in the house so much. His father kept saying that if you know what rich people did to become rich, you will not want to be rich. Somehow, that it made him, that anything about becoming rich was never part of his mindset. People, there are children that every day, what they're hearing is, we cannot afford anything. Some children here don't dream big. Some parents tell their children, or they just say it out loud, don't dream too big. Some people say, people like us don't build wealth. There are people that echo it in their environment, in their homes. People like us, no, money is not made for us. We're not meant to be wealthy. Those statements are more than just conversations. Every statement that you hear is more than just conversations. Right? Those statements are programming. You know, we've talked about programming, and we've talked about verbal programming. So when you are saying things around your children, not necessarily what you are saying to them, but what they can hear, you're verbally programming them. And that's why it's also important that you're mindful of what they hear, because they're verbally being programmed. They're verbally being programmed. Right? So later that child might become an adult who fears investing, who feels guilty about earning more, you know, because he feels, why should I earn more? If earning more will make me wealthy. Why should I earn more? The person who find it difficult to take opportunities, who believes wealth is for other people and not for him. And not because these things happen, not because the child studied those beliefs. It's because the child inherited them. The child inherited them by hearing. By hearing. But then again, children don't just inherit your words that you say. Right? They also inherit your behavior. And if you remember, when we talked about the second way that your blueprints are programmed, we said by modeling. So they are watching. They see your emotional spending. They see your constant debt. See, most people who are always in debt, their parents, one of their parents was also always in debt. Go and check it. They see that you don't budget, no financial, you see that, you have financial secrecy, impulsive buying. A lot of people today that their spouses do not know how much they earn. Look very well. These people learned this thing from their own parents. Their own parents never revealed their finances to their spouses. It was a secret. Till today, a lot of people still carry this financial behavior or financial secrecy. Their wives, their husbands really do not know how much they earn. They really don't know how much they earn. And since these are behaviors that a lot of us inherited by watching our parents, right? Some people inherited even worse behaviors like impulsive buying. Impulsive buying, you know. And sometimes, okay, let me tell you a story about, so I had this all happened in a counseling session. So this person didn't come from poverty. This person actually came from a lot of money, a whole lot of money. So those days, the father would take them from Lagos. They'll go to Oxford Street in the UK, like almost every week. and they will buy things. The father will buy things. The father loved to buy things, and they will buy and they will come back. Fast forward to the future. This person received inheritance from the father. Inheritance in the tune of close to 1 billion. Yes. But guess what? That impulsive spending that this person developed and inherited from the father is fast spending that money than she can even invest it. That impulsive spending, you can imagine, almost 1 billion, but the rate at which the person is spending it, you can't imagine it. Inherited behavior. For some people, it is living to impress others. Oh, their life is all about other people. Oh, what will this person say? Oh, will that person say? And if you look very well, it is because also of what they inherited. I've told the story here before. I know why I tell these stories, because I want you to see what I'm trying to bring out to you. I've told the story here before about a colleague of mine that wanted to, that the mother-in-law died and it was time for burial. And just before the burial, he went and completed the building he built in the wife's place, furnished the building to the teeth. Why? Because he didn't want people to say certain things about him when they come for the burial. He wanted people to see him in a certain way. In a certain way. Right? It is this same person that I've also told you before that his father, when he was growing up, when he was younger, was so rich that he used to get a new car for every wedding he attends. He doesn't attend 2 weddings with the same car. It is also the same father that today cannot afford his diabetes drugs. Are you seeing a pattern? The father lived the life of show and validation. His own son copied the same thing too. His own son copied the same thing. Because him going to complete a house in the village that nobody lives in his wife's place, that nobody lives in, furnished it, put air conditioners, he spent only 2 weeks there. Since then, he has never returned there again, since he left there. Spent millions that he didn't have. When I mean he didn't have, I mean borrowed. Just to let people feel as if he had it all sorted out. Blueprints. Heritage. That's financial heritage. That's financial heritage. There's a thing that's financial heritage. Trauma can be inherited. This young person, this person I'm telling you about, lives his life to impress others, practically. Those days in the office, so let's say there's a contribution for somebody, for something, however the contribution goes, he must make sure he gives 2 times more than what the person who gave the most gave. And it's not because he had more. And it's not just about the heart of giving. It is for the sake of validation. He wanted to be seen in a certain light. It all stems from his own father. That's where he learned it from. And I'm sure his own father learned it from his own father. That's why it becomes important to break this cycle of trauma. They see it so much that the behaviors begin to feel normal. He watched his father do what he did so much that it became normal to him. Right? It became normal to him. Likewise, if a child grows up watching the father budget, invest, just like there are people here too that grew up seeing their father do those things, and today they do those things. You grow up seeing your father make wise financial decisions, you grow up doing those things. I grew up watching my father invest so much in landed properties that I grew up doing it as well. I grew up doing it as well. In fact, my father will be the one to tell you that a property just came out somewhere now. Can you do it? Can you do it? Do you know my father even offers money to complete money to get? He will tell you, Tell me what you have. Tell me what I will complete it for you. But I need you to get that property. I don't want another person to buy that place. That's financial heritage. Children often repeat what they repeatedly observe. Children repeat what they repeatedly observe. So a lot of African parents today carry financial wounds that they never chose. Right? Some people experience military rule, hyperinflation, currency devaluation, unemployment, failed businesses. People that have trauma from failed businesses, their WhatsApp group is plenty. There are plenty inside. Loss of family wealth. Displacement during conflicts. Right? And I've said it before. For many Igbo families, the trauma of the Nigerian Civil War and its aftermath, including the loss of businesses, including the loss of homes, including the loss of investment, as well as the well-documented 20-pound policy, created fear around security and ownership. Those experiences, as a result of the aftermath of the Nigerian Civil War, on a lot of Igbo families, understandably shaped how many families today, right? Shaped how a lot of families view money, land, and properties. That is the reason why a lot of Igbo people still believe in going to build mansions in the village. I've explained it in one of our live sessions here. It is inherited trauma. Why? Because after the war, Igbos lost properties across the country. Igbos lost properties across the country after the war. Right? My girlfriend presses is cracking me up. Oh my God. So Igbos lost properties across Nigeria after the war. Right? Now, after the war, they went back to different areas and found out that they had repossessed their land. And that created the trauma of insecurity. And what was the response to that trauma? The only secure place to build is back home. So that was what gave rise to this culture of building your best house at home. And that's why I said that response was valid at that time. It is no longer valid now. It is a trauma response. This is a trauma that families have inherited. That people, the Nigerian Civil War ended in 1970, but the trauma of that, the aftermath of that war, still live in people today. That's why you still see people today. They have nothing where they are, no investment, nothing where they live in, but they have a big mansion in the village that nobody lives in. It's trauma. It's trauma. It's inherited trauma. It's a trauma response. So the building, you see that a lot of is happening in a lot of families in the southeast, in the village. It's trauma that has become culture, but it came as a result of trauma. Fear of investing their money elsewhere, fear of building elsewhere because of the experiences that their fathers and forefathers had. So a lot of parents responded by teaching their children then, always build at home. Always build at home. Never trust investment you cannot touch. Keep your money where you can see it. Property is the only real investment and it must be at home. And like I said, these responses made sense in the context of survival. But when passed on without explanation or adaptation, survival strategies can become limiting beliefs for the next generation. Very limiting beliefs. Survival strategy is not a wealth building strategy. It's not. That's why a poor person can be so good at survival, but terrible at wealth building, because the same strategies do not apply to different contexts. So the challenge is not honoring our history. No, that's not what it's about. The challenge is allowing yesterday's trauma to define today and tomorrow's possibilities. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. Yes, I like that. Trauma-induced culture. Thank you. Yes, Manatoli just says, it's so true. My uncle saw the war and saw his father's expensive car used to pack firewood. And my uncle never values anything so much that he can do without it, because he said the way his dad cherished this car and how he washed it. Okay. Okay. So that's it. So that's trauma. That's trauma. That's trauma. You can imagine how the man cherished the car, how he used to wash it. In fact, as you wrote this, I'm thinking about my father. How my mother tells us that my father can wash his car 5 times in a day. That, that if he steps out like this, man, come back, the man is washing it. Sometimes she's saying, is it not too much? I can imagine from the story. Can imagine. Right? So trauma can show up in different ways. Financial trauma is not always obvious. I must say this. Right? So some parents become extremely fearful, others become extremely generous. Trauma comes in extremes. Trauma shows up in extremes. Some people become obsessive savers as a result of trauma. Some people become compulsive spenders. Some people never take risks as a result of trauma. Others take reckless risks as a result of trauma. As a result of trauma, some people hide money. As a result of trauma, some people spend money to prove that they've escaped poverty. They just want to show that we've made it. Talking about hiding money. I never understood how somebody can hide money or hoard money until one certain time we had a very wonderful character in the office those days. So this lady had so much money in her account that EFCC had to invite her for her to explain her source of income. So it means that she has been earning almost all her life, she doesn't spend. This is the type of person that when she comes for an occasion, she will gather all the food she can. If you see where she's gathering food, trauma is bad. If you see where she's gathering food, you will think she does not have a penny. If you see where she's rushing food. So something happened one day. So this lady worked in a unit, that was in charge of doing outreach. They go for outreaches and they share food and some items to people. So on a certain outreach, the food was shorting. It wasn't enough. And people were wondering, so what happened? I thought we counted this thing. Can you believe that at the end of the day, this lady had up to 5 packs of food that she took home with herself? She's not married. She doesn't live with anybody. That was just trauma speaking. She just keeps hoarding and hiding things. She gathers everything, anything she can gather. She's still living in survival. I don't know her story. I never had the chance to know her story, but I can tell it was clearly trauma. Clearly trauma. So trauma shows up in different behaviors, but it's often the same roots. Right? So when one generation survives, the next must learn to build. And that's an important distinction between surviving and building. Your parents, your grandparents might have made financial decisions that were necessary for survival in their time. So they might have avoided risk because it was necessary at that time. They might have stored cash because then it was necessary. They might have bought land because then it was necessary. They might have disrupted financial institutions and all that. And those decisions might have protected the family in difficult times. But every generation faces different realities. That's one thing we must understand. What protects one generation might limit another if it is not re-examined. Right? So wisdom is not rejecting the past at all. Wisdom is understanding the past and knowing when to adapt. That's what wisdom is. Understanding the past and knowing when to readjust. So we must understand the past. If we don't, then we will be working. We'll be working with the realities of the past. And it will keep us from growing in the present and in the future. And because trauma is inherited, that's the reason why we keep saying healthy financial legacy is more than leaving money. It's living wisdom. Just the same way that trauma can be inherited, wisdom can also be inherited. So instead of living trauma, live wisdom. Teach children about how to budget. Start with yourself, show it. Teach them how to invest. Teach them how to think critically. Teach them how to manage emotions around money. Teach them how to create value. Value. I was so happy when a parent told me that the child is looking for how to the child. She told the child to make beads, and now the child wants to start selling the beads and all that. That's creating value. That's thinking. It starts from the little. It starts from the child realizing that I can make beads and sell, and it will metamorphose and move on to bigger things later in life. Do not despise these little things. Teach your children how to be generous without them becoming financially responsible. Teach them how to be generous without burning themselves in the process. So let your children inherit your wisdom by observing you, by intentionally teaching them. Right? You know, the Bible says in Proverbs 13:22 that a good person leaves an inheritance to their children's children. So many people assume that inheritance only refers to money. It's not just money. In fact, when you give your children money without the wisdom to manage the money, you've ruined them. You've ruined them. Because the same scripture says in Proverbs 4:7 that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. An inheritance without wisdom can disappear in one generation. And we're seeing it happen every day. What is the statistics of lost generational wealth in this part of the world? Right? In the western part, in the US, generational wealth is usually lost in the third generation. Our own is lost in the first, second, completely. Why? Because we are bequeathing assets without the wisdom to manage it. And one thing about wisdom is that wisdom can create wealth again and again, again and again. And that's why I cry when I talk about inheritance, especially when it comes to people who are in the line of business. Like I've said in my book, Raising Financially Literate Children, I've come to sit down and I've studied the people who do business where I come from, in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Most of them have apprentices. Apprentices who are learning from them, who eventually become as big as them. They call them Momo boy, my boy. Right? Now, these apprentices, what are they getting from these businessmen? What they're getting from them is wisdom. But it's so unfortunate that the children of these businessmen do not come anywhere around the business. They receive assets. And on the long run, we've seen that the ones that received wisdom of how the business is run, on the long run performed better than the children who already received assets. Those assets were squandered in a few years after these wealth generators were no more. It keeps staring us in the face every day. Those days, the parents would tell the children, what are you doing here? In fact, a friend of mine told me that in those days that when they go to the shop to help the parents out,
That people be saying, what are you people doing here? So they pay school fees for you to come here and be helping us to sell fish. Come on, go and read your books. So a lot of them missed out the wisdom in how to run those businesses. And that's why today, a lot of them cannot. They can't. So breaking this circle starts with you. Not every inheritance has to continue. Some inheritance has to be stopped. So you might have inherited fear, scarcity, financial shame, comparison. You always compare yourself to everybody. You can't be your own person. You might have inherited unhealthy money beliefs that is holding you back. You might have inherited emotional spending, but you do not have to pass them on. So every generation has an opportunity to interrupt unhealthy money patterns. You have an opportunity to replace it with wisdom. You have an opportunity to replace scarcity with stewardship, to replace comparison with contentment, to replace reaction with intentionality. That's how generational change begins. It starts with you becoming more intentional. Right? So have it always in mind that your children are always learning about money. Not only from what you teach, but from what you model, from what you say. They watch how you're spending. You tell your children every day, save money, you save money, but you don't save, and they can see you don't save. Hey. You tell your children, make sure you spend with a budget, but they follow you to the markets, to the shopping malls, and you buy without any plan. You buy, and eventually you have to use credit cards because you're buying more than how much you have. They're watching how you argue about money with your spouse. They watch how you give. They watch how you worry. They watch how you celebrate. They watch how you recover from setbacks. So you might be somebody who always quits. Once there's a setback, you just quit. They are watching you. They will also become quitters. So you succeeding against your setbacks is more important for your children than it is for yourself. The question is not whether you're teaching them about money. You already are. You already are. The question is, what exactly are you teaching them? Right? Are you teaching them the negative or the positive aspect? Because one day, your children may inherit your investment, your property, your business, your savings, but long before they inherit all these assets, they will likely inherit your relationship with money. So how is your relationship with money? How is your relationship with money? So make sure that you don't just pass on wealth alone. Pass on wisdom. Break the circle before you pass it on. One of the greatest gifts you can give to your children is no longer inheritance. It is a healthy relationship with money. And that's why we created the Healing from Financial Trauma course. In case you're not there yet. In case you're not there yet, that's why we created this course. Right? This course is designed to help you identify those money beliefs that you inherited, understand how your childhood shaped your financial decisions. Do you know that some people still spend money as a 12-year-old self? Maybe that 12-year-old self was somebody a child who went through scarcity, a child who went through poverty, a child who went through lack. A lot of people are making their money decisions today as adults, right? From the feelings of that 12-year-old self, of their 12-year-old self. I've seen parents who are overly compensating for what they didn't have with their children today. They say, if you know how I suffer, that my children cannot suffer like this. So my children cannot suffer the way I suffered. So they give their children all they want and what they don't want. They give their children everything. What they want, and the ones they don't want. Right? So in this course, you're going to learn how to begin to build a healthier financial mindset that is rooted in wisdom, a stewardship, and in purpose. Because if financial trauma can be passed down from one generation to the next, healing can also be passed down too. So your children deserve more than just financial support. They deserve financial wisdom. They deserve emotional security. And they deserve healthy money habits. So join the Healing for Financial Trauma course, because the next generation that doesn't just build wealth, right? Because the next generation don't just need to build wealth, right? They need to change the family's financial story forever. And for them to do that, they must come from a place of healed financial trauma. So join the Healing from Financial Trauma course. If you're not there, please join. If you're a MoneyClick member, you're getting it for 13,500. If you're an outsider, then you're getting it for 17,500. Right? That's the MoneyClick advantage. Right? So join the Healing for Financial Trauma course. The time to join is now. Don't waste much more time. Don't waste more time. Join. Before you know it, we're there, and before you know it, it's already late. And before you know it, you can't even pay early bird fee again, even for MoneyClick members. You would have to pay the regional amount. And remember, the regional amount for this course is 30,000 naira. Yeah, that's the regional amount. So you're getting it as the much subsidized rate. And trust me, don't say I don't have trauma. Don't say I don't have financial trauma. Some people come to this class thinking they don't have any form of trauma. And by the first day, they are realizing how much trauma they've been living with. They will realize how much trauma they've been living with. And it's not about you being growing up in poverty or in abundance. Whichever way, you need to understand, and you need to begin to move forward and heal. It's not only people who come from poverty that have trauma. Yes, more of them. But people who come from abundance also have trauma. And sometimes most of their trauma come from expectations. All right? So please get yourself into this course. Yes, MoneyClick to the wall. Thank you so much, Madam Tony George. And remember that our Healing from that our How to Make Money from Stocks webinar is coming up again. Right? It's coming up on the 7th, right? If I'm right, yes, 7th of this month. That's next week. We're going to start another batch of How to Make Money from Stocks webinar. If you missed the last edition that happened in March, please join and have a good understanding of how stocks work. All right? So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Remember that registration into the 2026 MoneyClick program is already happening, right? And also, because before I forget, we also have the Smart Money Kicks Workshop. Drum rolls. We have the Smart Money Kicks Workshop that is coming up again. We do this every year. It's a virtual boot camp for children and teenagers, and it's coming up again in this month of July, on the last week of July. Register your children. It's 22,500 for them to have access. It's a whole 5 days program for your children. All right. So I hope you bring them for them to be a part. Please take the financial literacy of your children very, very important. Right? Take it very, very important. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Remember, if you need to reach out, just look for the numbers that are scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Reach out to any of those numbers that are scrolling at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be able to give you all the details that you need. The MoneyClick program registration for 2027 is on already, and you can get a slot, single slot for 10,000 and a couple slot for 20,000. And yes, this money is already part of the total money that you pay. So if you book for 10,000 and the total money to pay is 79,999, it means that what you have to balance is 69,999. Right? Get your money, children, into the MoneyClick Kids program. The MoneyClick Kids program is so key, and we don't take just everybody. We have a limited number that we take because we can't mentor all your children all at once. So don't be the one that is going to be left out. Register now so that you don't say you were not told. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. The age range for children is 7 to 17. 7 to 17. Right? That's what we take, both for the Smart Money Kids Workshop and also for the MCK, 7 to 17 years old. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much for your commitment to learning, and happy always to always teach here. Remember, we're back here again next week, Wednesday, 12 noon and Thursday, 12 noon as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Oh, great. I love this. I love this. So Madam Abella says, I've gotten sense in the money click. Every holiday, my four children will all join the family business until the holiday is over. This is what I have been preaching. This is what I've been preaching. This is also what we encourage in the Money Click Hits program. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. My name remains Chukwemeka Onyineze. I'm your billionaire coach. See you again next week. Bye-bye.
So have you ever wondered why you keep making the same money mistakes, even after reading books, attending seminars, and learning about budgeting and so much more? Maybe you've promised yourself countless times that, this month I'll save, this year I'll invest, this time I'll be more disciplined. Yet somehow you end up repeating the same cycle. What if your problem isn't lack of financial knowledge? What if it's unresolved financial trauma? Financial trauma occurs when painful money experiences create emotional wounds that continue to influence your financial decisions even years later. Perhaps you grew up in a home where there was never enough. Perhaps your parents constantly fought over money. Perhaps you watched the family business collapse. Perhaps you experienced sudden poverty after a period of comfort. That event may have ended, but the emotional impact remained. And today, those experiences may be silently shaping how you earn, how you spend, how you invest, and even discuss money. So many people are trying to solve emotional problems with financial strategies. That's like trying to treat a broken bone with perfume. Until you heal the wound, the symptoms will keep returning. And that is why I created the Healing from Financial Trauma course. Not to teach more budgeting, not to teach more investing, but to help people understand the hidden emotional forces driving their money decisions. Because when healing begins, financial transformation becomes sustainable. If this resonates with you, send us a message. Let's talk about how you can join the Healing from Financial Trauma course. You can just comment healing in the comments. I'll reach out to you with the details. My name is Chukwemeka Onyineze and I'm the founder of the Viral Academy. Bye-bye.